Hey, it's Liberty, and today I'm going to be wrapping up all of the books that I read in March and talking about some of the books that I am excited to read in April and, a couple cultural things that I enjoyed this month too. If you like this, do give a little thumbs up. I make videos about books, history, personality, all sorts, so do check those out if you want. I'm actually 2 books ahead of my reading goal at the moment, so let's hope that I can keep that going into April. Anyway, I'm going to get straight into it. So the first 3 books that I read in March are actually a trilogy, and I read them one after the other, which I never do. But it's the Selection series by Kira Cass, and it's essentially a YA dystopia series of novels. And it's sort of set in a future which is post-World War III in a country which is no longer the US, but called Ilya. And it is now a monarchy with a numerical caste system divided by occupations. Our main character is America Singer, and she is a 5, which is sort of the artists and performers caste. And, she's been training to do music. She's a singer and plays those instruments. The royal prince needs to find a wife, and to do that, tradition dictates that he hold a selection. And a bunch of girls apply. America does, not really wanting to do it. And of course she gets picked to be one of the 35 girls who go to the palace to attempt to win the heart of the prince and sort of become the queen one day. America has a secret boyfriend, the caste below her, that she sort of has to leave behind. When she gets to the palace and meets Prince Maxon, they find an unlikely friendship. America Singer is a great character. Annoying at times, yes, but she is very consistently written. She never really acts out of character at all, which is something that I really appreciate because that annoys the hell out of me. I'm not going to lie, a royal love interest can be pretty hit or miss, but I think they got it right with Maxon. Of course, you get frustrated with him. He, acts on impulse occasionally, but his motivations are clear and his sort of characterization was done really well. It's kind of technically only really a love triangle in the first book. America sort of makes her decision about what she's going to do pretty much at the end of the first book, and the second book becomes, and the third book too, more of a sort of political intrigue kind of thing. There are rebels, obviously, in any dystopia. There are going to be rebels trying to overhaul this system. And there are northern rebels and southern rebels, and the southern rebels just are killers, but the northern rebels are sort of after something and, information or like something in the palace. No one really knows what. I really enjoyed that aspect of it because you get to find out how this caste system was created. You don't really get that much in dystopias. It's often about dismantling the system, and there's not a lot of time given to really explaining how easy or hard or whatever it would have been to set up this system. Obviously, you do meet rebels at certain points, and they are in it, but it is not focused on the rebels as main characters. So I really appreciated that. So I really did enjoy these. I definitely enjoyed the second and third books more. There are more books in the series actually. I don't know that I'll pick them up right now, or that's a problem for future me. Next, I finished The Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. I finally finished it. All 800 or so pages of it. Amazing. Loved it. 5 stars. This is the first book in the second trilogy set in Robin Hobb's huge fantasy world that she's created. You don't need to have read the first trilogy to enjoy this one, actually, and I would highly recommend, if you just wanted to read this, just going for it. This trilogy is all about ships and trading and all of that kind of thing. We have quite a few characters that we follow in this series, but essentially there is a thing called a live ship, and it's made out of a particular kind of wood, and the ships are bonded to families, and 3 or 4 generations, I think, have to die on board the ship, and then like the carving comes to life and the ship becomes a live ship with, thoughts and feelings and a conscience and all of that kind of stuff. The main character that we start off with is Althea, and she is a Vestrit. She's in the Vestrit family, and she's been sailing with her father for number of years now. You know, she's always thought this ship is going to be mine when I'm older. Unfortunately, her father's been ill. She has been sailing under her brother-in-law, who is just a horrible, horrible person. Just god awful. Like, I will be really upset if there's a redemption arc for him, because I can't be dealing with that. Anyway, she finds herself not on the ship, that I won't go into that because that's, you know, stuff in plot. And she has to sort of figure out what she's going to do, you know, how she's going to get back to her ship, because that's her goal, to be on her family ship, be the captain, and that's the life she wants to live. We also followed Kenneth, he is a pirate captain, and he has aspirations of being a pirate king. Yeah, he's not a very likable character, but he doesn't need to be. Like, you know, you need shades of morality in books like this, and he really drives the plot forward in a really, really great way. Yeah, he shakes things up. He acts as a contrast to more, you know, traditionally morally perfect characters. Speaking of morally perfect, we also follow Wintro, who is training to be a priest at the start of the novel, and his character arc, boy oh boy, is my favourite in this first book in the trilogy. He becomes such, oh god, his journey is just, boy does he go through some trials and tribulations, and boy does he come out the other side, well, stronger depending on who you ask. I think ships and pirates are universally appealing, and I haven't really given much thought as to why. I mean, obviously it's fun, slightly naughty, and there's also, you know, ships have been part of our lives as humans for, you know, thousands of years, so kind of universally relatable in that way. So while we're following these characters who are sort of at sea, we also follow members of the Vestrit family who are left behind in the town that, you know, all the live ships, traders are living in, and 3 generations, 3 female characters, and I thought that aspect of the book was going to be boring. Boy, was I wrong. All of these 3 women really come into their own, and they have got good chunks of plot. They've all got their own storylines, and it's just, I can't wait to see what the youngest one gets up to in the next book. Yeah, Robin Hobb just writes characters so well, and it was long. Some may say it's too long, but I just really enjoyed these characters, and I really enjoyed Robin Hobb's whole world building. Yeah, I cannot speak more highly of Robin Hobb, and yeah, I mean, I recommend this trilogy even more than the Farseer trilogy, which is the first trilogy. And I'm only 1 book in, so. Next, I read a novella, and this is The Gentleman's Guide to Getting Lucky by Mackenzie Lee, and this is it's a 1.5 book in a series. It's after Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and so we follow the characters from that book, which you need to read to sort of, understand what's going on, obviously. And so the main characters are Percy, Monty, and Felicity, and they've just had their big adventure, and they are soaking up some sun and waiting to go back on more ships, to England in the, I think, 18th century that we're in. Yeah, it's historical YA. And it is kind of what it says on the tin. Monty is trying to seduce Percy after, their big adventure. But it's kind of, it's all about sort of changes in a way, because they have to figure out their relationship now, having been best friends secretly in love with each other for so many years, and now they're, in a relationship, and what are they going to do when they go back to England? It's just hilarious. Monty is a very funny character, and Percy's so sincere and sweet. They're just a really great pairing, and this novella was really fun to read. It was such a quick read too. Quickly going on to TV and film, I watched Inventing Anna, like I'm pretty sure everyone did in the last month. I kind of can't help but feel that we've given her exactly what she wants, and we've given her the fame, and she's going to have a reality TV show after she gets out of prison. But it was very well, the series was very well done. and also Love is Blind. Deeps is queen. Oh my God. I mean, so much gaslighting, so much wrong with this second season, but yeah, with something we got Deeps out of it, so that's something, I guess. Here is my monthly playlist. It is full of Red Velvet. The Red Velvet's album that came out is just, oh, it's so incredible. It's my favourite album of the year so far. You've got to have guts to sample classical music, especially Bach's Air on the G string. It's just so iconic, everyone knows it. And they just did it so well, and oh my God, it was quite unsettling, the music video the first time, which, like, I mean, it's Red Velvet, of course it's gonna be at the top of my Spotify Wrapped for this year, probably. I listen to it all the time, and the whole album's amazing. Oh yes. Next, I'm going to go on to my April TBR, and the first book is Momo by Michael End. Now, I talked about this in my book haul, and I've already started reading it. I'm about 28 or so pages in, but it is a translated, either middle grade or YA, I'm not sure, but it's translated from German, and it is sort of fantasy-esque. The main character is Momo, and she lives in a ruined amphitheatre, and she lives on her own. You know, she has a special talent that the people who live in the city sort of come to her to help her solve their problems. And one day, the men in grey just take over the city that she lives in, just quietly. And Momo is the only one who can resist them, and so she is the one who has to sort of travel around. There might be time travelling, that's what it says on the blurb, something to do with time, with the help of a professor and the professor's turtle, which is on the front cover of the book. It's so cute. I have actually tabbed a quote, which is, "Those who still think that listening isn't an art should see if they can do it half as well." I think I'm going to really enjoy this. So far, it's really nicely written. The translations are really well done. There will be a video accompanying that book, hopefully soon, definitely in a couple of weeks. Next on my TBR is Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. You know who you are in my comments who recommended this to me under my tier ranking all the classics that I have read video, and I'm ready to start my Dostoevsky journey. I'm definitely going to do it this month, so thank you for that. The blurb I have for this book says that the main character, whose name I think is Raskolnikov, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but he essentially commits a crime and he has no regrets at the time, and the novel is him coming to terms with what he's done, sort of really his conscience working away at him and potentially finding a way for him to redeem himself. I'm excited to read this because I've heard nothing but good things about this from like every source, and lots of struggling, lots of inner monologues, hopefully, lots of reflecting. I quite like that when it's done really well. So, and it's been a long time coming. So finally, the last book on my April TBR is Stormbird. It is a period of history that I love, and I've had this book for literally years without picking it up. So I feel like now is the time to see whether I want to keep it, whether I want to continue on with the series, or whether I want to just, give the book to a charity shop or something. The book starts with the death of Henry V and the ascension of Henry VI and the council that is going to rule in his stead, because I think he's months old when his father dies. I know from history that entails lots of clashes between the Duke of York and the Duke of Somerset, and then also as he gets older, including Henry's wife, Margaret of Anjou. I had a skim through this book and I was pleasantly surprised to discover that, they're really going into detail in terms of the people. A lot of War of the Roses retellings or whatever, they tend to cut a lot of characters out and just focus on a few for, narrative simplicity and stuff like that. But obviously that's not life, that's not how it happened, that it requires a lot of manipulating and twisting of things that happened, which me as a history buff, I don't appreciate. And I saw names which I was very excited to see while skimming through. I have a bunch of TV shows that I want to get to, and films too. Like, I want to watch the second series of Bridgerton. I hated the first series, but the second series has got Indian protagonist as the love interest. So very excited for that. And also apparently less sex and more Austen style longing and touching and all of this stuff, which, yeah, I prefer that. So thank you for watching. That was my March wrap up and April TBR. Do let me know what your favourite book that you read in March was. If you liked it, do give it a little thumbs up. And like I said, I make videos all about books, history, personality, bunch of other stuff. So do check those out and subscribe if you would like to. I'm hoping to keep up the good reading vibes I've had in March going into April. So wish me luck. Happy reading.